To start off the level, we've got to bring a shell and a Koopaling. So the first thing we're going to do here is go ahead and get that set up so we can get the Koopaling into his shell. We're going to trigger that flip block and despawn it and then respawn it to make a 1-up appear. We're going to use that 1-up to trigger this contraption instead of the shell like it's supposed to look like you use. We're going to take the shell and the Koopaling through the key check room. This is just an RNG manipulation setup. It only works once, but we only need it to work once. So we loop through here. We're going to guide this little mole setup. So this mole basically needs to not bonk into the ceilings or walls and make it all the way into that bumper. There's not really a way around that. That is what you have to do here. So that is both the intended and the dev route. Dev, so to speak. I mean, it's the only way to beat the level. But yeah, so more just kind of survival here, living through the moles, taking the shell through stuff. You have to get the shell across this swamp car, which is kind of an interesting thing. There's a little bit of pausing in this video because I had been recording this for like 50 some odd hours in the upload process, and yeah, I just wasn't gonna like not pause sometimes. That's just a thing. Got other stuff to do too. Alright, so get our shell to wake up, pop it again, put it back in the shell, throw him up there. We need to bounce up there. Those moles actually bounce a half tile height higher whenever they bounce off a wall like that, so the setup is set up in such a way that we need to hit them at the peak of that bounce to get up there. That Koopaling triggers a on-off block to go off, as you just saw. We do some tricky little precise jumps, get this Galumba. We're going to edge jump off screen. It doesn't have to be an edge jump, but I got it here. It has to be very close to an edge jump, though, so it's a very tricky off-screen jump. We're going to despawn the contraption over there, respawn it, come back to the left side here. That's going to trigger 2 sets of P-switches. Those timers are going to let us get inside of here. And then the important part is that gate shuts behind us. Those on-off blocks trigger. When the player comes through here more organically, that doesn't happen. So in this case, everything's in the off state. We get an extra key that you wouldn't normally have here. We bypass most of the setups in here. We're going to trigger this block right here for later. I'll explain that when we get there. Just maybe I should do it for now. But we're going to get this bomb, toss it up there, blow up the block that it came out of. Despawn said block, respawn said block. We're going to get a spring doing that. Spring is used for a couple things, but most importantly, just to get out of here for now. So, this pipe is going to take us back to the start of the level. This is both a troll you can find and a actual part of the intended path, so the important thing is we dodge the big Monty here, jump over him, trigger this Kaizo ladder. We use the big Monty to get on the Kaizo ladder, climb it. We're going to trigger this all for later. Once again, we're going to need a Koopa shell. We do not need the Koopaling this time. Come through the door, hit the on-off block, hidden behind the saw, take the shell with us. Now we have to do a max height shell jump. This is kind of tricky. If you ever try to do one of these, it is 10 tiles high. Just a normal shell jump is not enough. You've gotta get the perfect height for that, so that's quite a tricky one. This interesting little setup has a mushroom hidden behind the torch, which is just something you can do. There's no editor tricks with that. That's just how Mario Maker works, apparently. Normally what you want to do is duck dash through that little conveyor spot quickly, but I kind of failed, so I had to just spam like really hard to get through there, and I'm glad I made it. Here, one of those one of the boos up top does have a key, so we trigger a Kaizo block to kill him. We have to do a max height jump here as Big Mario to trigger that block. That's going to give us a POW. Icicles trigger the POW, which is important, because the POW radius comes out from the POW as opposed to from Mario, which means those plants and everything survive. So here's that mole setup. We just triggered a block behind the saw to get a mushroom. We're despawning the mole and respawning it. This is important because we have to jump on the mole during a certain frame of its burrowing animation. I think there's multiple frames you can do this in. It's somewhat forgiving, but basically the trick there was we got the mole to jump 4 tiles high instead of the normal 3, which lets him get up onto that platform, which is important because we need him for this here. So as Big Mario, you can duck clip and actually grab that fire flower, which is normally Kaizo blocked. Now that we have a mole buddy, we can bounce up this way, trigger this little contraption, kind of wait on that to finish down there. Alright, so we've got to do a little precise jump into this nook. We made it. You can see I'm very excited to start hopping very quickly. This was a new PB for me at the time. Actually, that's a lie. I made it past here once, and then had something jank out, you'll see shortly. And you'll see how careful I was with it the second time, so the jank is entirely avoidable, and it is intentional as well. Given that this is a garbage level, of course. So we're going to throw that spring, kill the piranha plant for another key. So here's the jank. We need to drop this spring in such a way that it doesn't align with the bouncing timing of the shell. It has to go underneath the shell to actually bounce the shell out. If you get them aligned, you're just stuck. You can't get there, you're dead. So What we're doing here is dropping 4 dry bone shells on the tip of the seesaw. I ended up doing 5 because I wasn't sure if I had done 4. I was kind of nervous and I was thinking about the steps coming ahead because there's obviously a lot of steps and a lot going on in this in a short period of time. So I did the 5th one just to be safe. We're going to use that shell. We're going to come over here. We're going to fail once, but I had plenty of time, so it was okay. And basically what we're trying to do is trigger the dry bones animation there, just as the mole passes us, which actually makes the mole ignore us while we're in the dry bones form. So he runs a little bit farther than he normally would. Here we're going to, instead of dying to this block, we're actually going to move out of the way just in time so that we get out with Small Mario. We cannot bring a shell through here. There is a de-sheller, this big mole, once you come through the pipe. We need to do 2 pixel jumps on this spring. Got the first one first try, which is pretty sick. Almost got it the second try and then walked off. Kind of fumbled around for a bit. But basically we're going to get up onto that pipe again, where that spring's at, and then we're going to jump up to Yoshi and get him. Yoshi is the big win condition for this level, of course. Yoshi the dinosaur made of cheese. So we're going to take these springs, we're going to knock them, create a ladder to go back in the pipe it just came from, and we're going to bring that fire flower with us. We cannot collect this. We need it for later. So we go through this door, we trigger the one-time use Photobo up here. That's going to let us get Yoshi out. We're going to kill the mole because we don't need him right now, and he gets in the way, unfortunately. Throw the fire flower out there, get a key, use the Potoboo that we just released to blow up a bomb. We're going to wait on that to blow up. And this is where that Kaizo ladder from earlier comes into play. So with that Kaizo ladder triggered, we have a mole now in this block instead of falling. We can now reset back into this pipe now that we've blown up a block. That releases a new lit bomb above screen that we cannot see. So we're waiting on that to blow up. And then we go back in the pipe. We're going to loop back through the level one more time. This is all pretty straightforward from here. We just take a shell and kind of cheese our way through the level with Yoshi, because it's quite easy to do when you can just infinitely damage boost. You can see I'm not even really being that careful, because as long as I get back on Yoshi before my iframe's in, there's really not a whole lot of ways I can die. I could just try to speed through here, but I'm very nervous about losing Yoshi to those saws, because he will fall through them and then that's game. So while I could bounce across the saws here, I just decided to wait on the mole car, ride that a little more safely across. Almost died to the icicle there, but luckily we do have one-ways there, which are kind of both a help and a hindrance. In this case, they were a help. They do hinder other things, but anyway. We have to be careful not to go in this pipe, because we can't go back through if we do. Do a very tricky little duck turnaround jump with Yoshi. It lets us clip slightly farther with the tongue and actually lick that P-switch. So we're going to take that P-switch with us. We're going to shoot it through this little contraption down here. We have to ditch Yoshi. There's no way to bring him through this. Grab the P-switch. Almost died to the wrench there. That would have sucked, and I'd have been very pissed. I hate Rocky Wrench. I complain about him a lot, so if he had killed me there, I'd have been salty. Alright, we're going to use this P-switch to throw the winged mole upwards, which I was pretty proud of that one. We're going to bounce off this winged mole. We're going to collect the 1-up, which is actually a mushroom. There's a mushroom hidden behind the 1-up. We released that earlier by blowing up those bombs that were above the screen I was talking about. This whole vine is Kaizoed, so we have to find a way to bring this P-switch up. It's kind of tricky to do this little maneuver here, but basically get him up into that door. Toss it here. We have a little 10-second speed run where we have to trigger or break all the mole stack to get into a P door before it goes away. So this is kind of my weird little route for that. Spring's coming in handy again, second time. So this one, we bring this POW. We have to be careful to use the POW out of the pipe and not the one beneath the door for that, because the pipe one respawns, this one does not. We need both POWs to leave this room because there are Kaizo blocks, which I am being extremely, excruciatingly careful to avoid right now. So right here, the end of the level, what you were supposed to do is take damage to that Potoboo. I forgot I had added these icicles, so you can technically use those. That is very minor, teeny tiny cheese, but not that big. It's really not a huge deal. So you don't have to remember the Potoboo anymore, you can just use the icicles, but you do need to be small to get into to get across those vines and down into this pipe to beat the level.